Tonight, we drift together into the quiet valleys of Scotland, a land of misty hills, calm waters, and stories as old as stone. You are safe here, warm and at peace. The world outside can wait for now. We wander gently, deeper into dreams. Pause, let silence work as a companion. As you settle, imagine a winding road through the highlands. The air is crisp, touched with the scent of pine and peat. Far in the distance, mountains rise like ancient guardians. This is Glencoe, a place of breathtaking beauty and whispers from the past. At the edge of the valley, a small inn rests quietly by the roadside. Its whitewashed walls have stood against centuries of storms. The windows glow faintly, like lanterns calling travelers home. This is the Glencoe Inn, a place where weary souls have stopped for rest, and where some say they never truly leave. Slow, calming description, inviting immersion. Inside, the air is warm, carrying the scent of wood smoke and highland stew. You hear the low hum of conversation, the soft clink of glass on wood. But among the comfort, there is something else, a feeling, as if the air itself is watching, as if time lingers here quietly, holding on to shadows. You take the stairs slowly, each step creaking under your weight. The hallway is long, narrow, lit by flickering lamps. The walls whisper with stories, some from yesterday, some from long ago. At the very end lies a room, a small, ordinary room by day. But by night, it changes. Guests have spoken of voices when the inn has gone silent, of whispers echoing, too faint to understand, but close enough to feel. A breath on the ear, a murmur in the dark, as though someone else is always there, unseen. Pause, let the listener sink into the feeling. For now, you place your hand on the old brass handle. The door opens with a sigh, as if the room itself has been waiting. You step inside, the floor creaking gently beneath your feet. The bed is simple, the window framed by heavy curtains. Nothing seems unusual. And yet, as you set your bag down, the air feels heavier. Still, like the pause before a story begins. And this is where ours begins. The door closes softly behind you. The latch clicks into place, though you do not remember touching it. The room is dim. A single lamp on the bedside table flickers, as though it too feels uneasy. You let your eyes wander across the walls. A painting hangs crooked, a highland landscape blurred by age. The carpet is faded, the colors swallowed by years of footsteps. The air carries a faint chill, though no window has been opened. At first you tell yourself it is nothing. Old buildings sigh and creak. Wood contracts with the night air. Yes, you tell yourself it is only that. And yet, there is something different here. Pause, lower the voice, draw the listener closer. From the corner of the room comes a sound. So faint, so delicate, it might almost be mistaken for wind. But there is no wind. The sound repeats like words, whispered, hushed, as though someone leans close to your ear. But when you turn, the room is empty. The shadows stretch longer along the walls. The lamp flickers once more, then steadies. The silence is heavy now. A silence so complete you can hear your own breath, your own heartbeat. And beneath it, another rhythm, soft, slow, like footsteps, pacing. Just beyond the door, you hold your breath. The steps stop. The silence returns. But the feeling does not fade. It is as though unseen eyes linger in the corners, watching, waiting. Softer, almost a whisper, keep the listener close. On the dresser, a small mirror catches your attention. The glass is old, clouded, yet as you look into it, you think for just a moment, you see something that is not you. A pale shape, fading the instant you notice. You blink, and it is gone. The mirror shows only your own reflection, your own tired eyes staring back. And yet, deep down, you know you are not alone in this room. The air grows colder, so cold that your breath drifts faintly in front of you, a pale mist in the dim light. The lamp flickers once more, then steadies, casting long, trembling shadows across the wall. And then, you hear it. Not just a sound this time. Not the groan of timber, nor the sigh of the wind. But words. Clear. Close. Right behind you. Leave. The voice is soft, broken, as though carried from a distance, yet sharp enough to cut through the silence. You turn quickly, but the room is empty. You stand frozen. And once again the whisper comes. Get out. This time it comes from the far corner. But the corner holds only shadows, softer now, pulling the listener deeper. The whispers grow, multiplying. Not one voice, but many. Low, hushed, overlapping, a chorus of the unseen. Some angry, some mournful, some barely more than a sigh. You cannot make out their words, yet their tone fills you with dread. It is not the sound of welcome. It is not the sound of peace. It is the sound of warning. The mirror on the dresser shivers, not falling, not breaking, but quivering as though touched by an unseen hand. In its cloudy surface, you glimpse again a pale figure. This time it lingers. A woman, thin with hollow eyes. Her lips move, but no sound escapes them. Behind her, more shadows gather. Figures without faces. Shapes without names. Crowded in silence, pressing close to the glass. Their whispers seeping into the room around you. The air is thick now, heavy with sorrow, and with something darker. Long pause, then softer, as though the story itself is whispering. The Glencoe Inn keeps its guests well fed. Its rooms warm, its doors open. But some say, once you step into this room, you do not rest alone. You are sharing space with those who came before and never left. The mirror grows still once more. Only your reflection remains. But the chill in the air deepens. It settles into your bones, the kind of cold that is not weather, but something older, something unseen. The whispers hush. The silence is thicker now, so heavy that your ears ring with it. And then a sound. Sharp. Definite. The wooden chair in the corner shifts, scraping softly across the floor, as though someone invisible has just taken a seat. Your breath catches. You do not move. And still, the chair moves again. Slowly, deliberately, sliding closer, inch by inch, toward the bed. Pause softer now, pulling the listener inward. The air presses against you, thick, heavy like water. The lamp flickers wildly, shadows dancing across the walls like restless figures. Your heart pounds, and in the silence between beats, you feel it. A hand, cold, faint, resting on your shoulder. You spin around, but there is nothing there. No one in sight. Only the empty room and the echo of your own breath. But the touch lingers, an icy imprint, clinging to your skin. The floorboards groan. The footsteps return. Not in the hallway this time, but in the room. slow, deliberate steps circling the bed. Each one measured, each one closer, softer, whisper-like. And then you hear it again, a voice. Not a whisper this time, but a rasp, low and broken. You shouldn't be here. The shadows swell, stretching across the walls, long fingers of darkness reaching, curling toward you. The lamp sputters, then dies. The room is swallowed in darkness. And in that darkness, you are not alone. The room is dark. So dark that the walls dissolve into the shadow. And you cannot tell where the corners are or where the floor meets the ceiling. The air is thick, pressing in around you, like being buried beneath the earth. And then a glow, faint at first, like the light of a dying candle. It gathers near the dresser, reflecting faintly in the mirror. A figure takes shape. She is pale, almost translucent. Her hair hangs loose around her face, her eyes hollow, rimmed with sorrow. She does not speak at once. Instead, her lips tremble, as though the words have been trapped inside her for centuries. The whispers return, not all around, not scattered, but focused. Her voice. They took me. The words drift slowly, barely more than a breath. She looks not at you, but through you, as though you are only another shadow in her long, endless night. I was young. Her voice cracks, broken like glass. They said I would be safe here. The air ripples. The footsteps begin again, but this time they are not hers. Heavier, firmer, like the march of boots across the floor. The shadows behind her shift figures without faces, looming, their presence pressing forward. You feel their weight in the air, a memory replaying, an echo of cruelty that never fades. The woman lifts her hand, thin, trembling, pointing toward the bed. And there the mattress sags, as though someone unseen has sat down, the shape of a body pressing into the sheets. The indentation deepens, as though another weight joins it, and another, and another. The room is filling, not with guests, not with the living, but with those who came before, those who never left. The whispers swell into voices, some pleading, some angry, some crying out in pain. You cover your ears, but the sound is not in your ears, it is inside you. Inside the walls, inside the very air. The woman's gaze meets yours at last. Her eyes glisten with sorrow, with warning. They never let me leave. Her voice trembles. And they won't let you either. The glow around her flickers. Her form wavers, fading in and out, as though she is being pulled backward, dragged into the shadows that clutch at her. Her mouth opens wide, too wide, a scream that makes no sound. The mirror cracks. A thin line runs across its surface, splitting her image in two. The air erupts with a cold wind, though the windows are sealed tight. The lamp flickers to life again, casting wild, uneven light. And in that trembling glow, the room is no longer empty. Figures surround you, pale, broken, countless, crowding the bed, the corners, the walls. Each face blurred, each body trembling with rage or grief. They lean closer. Their voices blend into one terrible sound, a chant of sorrow, of warning, pulling you down into their endless night. The figures close in, whispers rising, layered on top of each other, until they become a tide of voices, impossible to escape. Your pulse quickens, but your body feels heavy, weighed down as though the very air has turned to stone. The bed groans beneath unseen weight. The walls shudder with invisible hands. The mirror cracks, again splitting wider, until shards fall like frozen rain, scattering across the floor. And then, silence. The crowd of shadows parts. Only the pale woman remains. Her hollow eyes lock onto yours. Her lips tremble as she forces out one last whisper. Now you know. She reaches toward you, and for a moment you think she is pleading. But when her hand brushes your arm, the chill burns like fire, searing into your skin. The lamp sputters. The room bends and warps. The doorway vanishes, the window sealed with darkness. There is no way out. You close your eyes, praying it is only a dream, only a trick of the mind. But when you open them again, you are no longer alone. A dozen faces hover inches from yours, eyes hollow, mouths open in soundless cries. They lean closer, pressing against you, pulling you into the dark with them. The woman's voice echoes one last time. No one leaves the Glencoe Inn. The lamp dies. The room falls into black. And in that blackness, the whispers begin again, endless, eternal, a lullaby of sorrow that will never let you rest. Long, soft pause lets silence linger before the outro. And so, dear dreamer, if ever you find yourself wandering the misty roads of Glencoe and a warm light beckons you into the inn, remember the story, remember the whispers, and choose carefully which room you decide to rest in. Tonight, we wander once more into the misty heart of Scotland, where ancient stones hold stories older than memory. Far in the rolling countryside, beyond winding lanes and gentle fields, a castle rises from the earth like a sentinel. Its towers stretch toward the sky, and its walls thick and strong, weathered by centuries of storms. This is Borthwick Castle, a place of kings and rebels, of feasts and battles, and of whispers. As you approach, the air grows cooler. The evening sky folds itself into shades of violet and silver, and the castle windows glow faintly, their light like distant stars. A great wooden door creaks open slowly, as though the building itself has drawn a long breath. You step inside. The air is rich with the scent of oak and stone, cool but not unwelcoming. Tapestries line the walls, woven with scenes of knights and ladies long gone. A grand fireplace burns softly in the hall, its flames crackling, casting long, shifting shadows across the floor. Guests have come and gone through these halls for centuries. Yet some say the castle has never truly been empty. They whisper of a figure, a woman clothed in gray, wandering silently through the corridors, her sorrow etched into the stones themselves. But tonight, you do not see her yet. Not in the hall, not by the fire. Only the flicker of the flames, the soft hush of the wind beyond the walls, and the ancient calm of the castle at rest. You climb the staircase slowly, your hand brushing the cold stone of the wall. The air shifts, quieter here. Still, as though the castle itself is listening. A corridor stretches ahead. The lamps along the wall flicker, their flames bowing gently, though no breeze stirs the air. You walk deeper, your footsteps echoing softly, until at last, you reach your room. The heavy wooden door closes with a thud. The key turns in the lock. And for a moment, the silence feels deeper than before. As though you are not quite alone. The fire in your room burns low. Shadows ripple across the walls, their shapes long and restless. You close your eyes, but sleep does not come easily. The silence of the castle is too complete, too heavy, as if it is holding its breath. And then, a sound. A faint creak, soft as a footstep in the corridor beyond your door. You hold still, listening. Another step follows, and another. Slow, measured, as though someone is pacing the hall outside your room. You rise, crossing the floor to the door. Pressing your ear against the cold wood, you hear it clearly now. A rhythm. One step. Pause. Another step. Always moving, never hurried. As if the walker has all the time in the world. You ease the door open just enough to peer into the corridor. It is empty. Long stone walls stretch ahead, lamps flickering faintly in their iron brackets. But the footsteps continue, echoing softly, though no figure can be seen. Lower voice like a whisper. You step into the hall. The air is colder here. Your breath rises faintly in the lamplight. The tapestries seem to shiver, their woven knights and ladies bending ever so slightly, as though trying to turn and look at you. The footsteps shift. Now they come from the far end of the corridor. You follow slowly, your own steps joining theirs, two rhythms beating together. The closer you move, the further they seem to retreat. Always just beyond reach. Always one step ahead. And then a sudden gust. A candle sputters and dies. The flame vanishes, leaving a stretch of the hall in shadow. The darkness is thick, pressing against your eyes. From within it, a shape stirs. Faint at first, like smoke unraveling. But as you stare on it gathers form. A figure draped in gray, head bowed, hands folded against her chest. Still, so very still. You blink, and she is gone. Only the shadows remain. The corridor is silent again. Too silent. But as you turn back toward your room, the sound returns, not footsteps this time. A sigh. A long, aching breath. So close, it could be just behind your ear. You turn sharply. Nothing. Only the flicker of flames and the vast, waiting silence of the castle. You retreat to your room. The heavy door shuts. The lock clicks into place. But even there, in the dim firelight, the air is colder, the shadows longer, and in the silence, you hear it again, that same slow, measured pace, walking the corridors of Borthwick Castle. Never hurried, never stopping, as though the castle itself belongs to her, and she will walk it for eternity. The night deepens. The castle sleeps, its great stone walls holding centuries of silence. And yet, you cannot rest. The fire in your room burns low, casting only faint glimmers on the stone. The corners grow darker, thick with shadow. And in that darkness, you feel it again. The weight of unseen eyes. The quiet, aching presence of someone near. You sit up, your gaze drawn toward the tall window. The curtains stir gently, though no breeze moves the air. For a moment, you think you see a reflection in the glass. Not your own, but hers. A woman, clothed in gray. Her figure faint, as though painted in smoke. Her head bowed and her hair falling forward in shadow. Her face, pale, hollow, etched with grief so deep it seems endless. She moves slowly, drifting across the room, her steps making no sound upon the stone floor. Her gown brushes the air like mist, its hem trailing as if soaked with sorrow itself. She does not look at you. Not yet. Her eyes remain cast downward, as though fixed on something lost long ago. Softer, slower leaning into sorrow. Her lips part. A whisper escapes. But the words are broken, like fragments of a forgotten song. You cannot understand them, yet the ache in her voice cuts through you. She pauses by the fireplace. The flames bend toward her, their light flickering strangely, as though drawn by her sorrow. Her hand lifts, hovering just above the fire, but her touch never meets the world. It is as if she is reaching for warmth she will never feel again. The air grows colder still. Your breath curls before you. The shadows deepen, stretching long across the room, curling around her figure like a cloak. And then her head lifts. Her face turns. Her eyes meet yours. They are empty, yet filled with something heavier than fear. Grief. Loss. A sorrow so vast it pulls at you, drawing you into her silence. You cannot look away. Her gaze holds you still, as though centuries of pain are being poured into you, pressed upon your chest, weighing you down. Her mouth opens once more. This time, a word escapes. Soft. Barely more than a breath. Alone. The sound lingers in the air, long after her lips close. The flames sputter, the shadows swell, and before you can move, her figure fades, dissolving back into the walls, into the silence of the castle. But the word remains echoing inside you. Alone. The fire dies. A faint hiss, and the last ember fades into ash. The room is swallowed in shadows. You sit frozen, the memory of her pale eyes heavy upon you. And then a sound. The door. Its lock turns with a soft click. Though you never touched it, the handle creaks, as if moved by an invisible hand. Fenceless. You rise, moving toward it, but the air grows sharp, so cold your breath spills in silver clouds. Your hand stops inches from the door, as though some unseen weight holds you back. Behind you a whisper. Not words this time, only a sigh. So close it chills the back of your neck. You turn. The gray lady stands in the corner, still, watching. Her gown drifts just above the floor, her outline trembling faintly, like smoke caught in a draft. Her presence presses against you, a heavy sorrow filling the room. The air is thick, hard to breathe. Every shadow bends toward her. Every flame shivers in her wake. The curtains lift without wind. The glass of the window fogs over, frost blooming across its surface in delicate, creeping veins. Your breath quickens. The cold deepens. And then the door slams shut with a thunderous crack. The sound echoes through the stone halls, shaking the walls. You stumble back, and the floor groans beneath your weight. The castle itself seems to shift, as though the stones remember her sorrow and ache beneath its burden. She moves closer, step by step. Her feet make no sound, but the air grows colder with each breath she takes. Her hand lifts, thin, pale, trembling. She reaches toward you now in anger, not in rage, but in grief. Her fingertips hover just above your chest. Though she never touches you, the chill pierces deep, as though her sorrow has passed through skin, through bone, settling into your heart. And in that moment, you know this truth. Her pain is endless, her wandering eternal. She does not walk these halls for vengeance. She walks because she cannot rest. Her lips part again. This time the whisper is clear. Betrayed. The word drips with anguish. The walls seem to echo it back. Betrayed. 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 Her figure flickers, the gray gown twisting in the shadows. The air pulses once more, and she fades, gone, yet not gone. For though the room is empty again, the sorrow remains, cold, unyielding, a weight pressing against every breath you take. The air is still. The shadows linger, and though the gray lady has faded from sight, her sorrow clings to the room. You can feel it pressing on your chest, seeping into your bones, weighing down your very breath. You lie back on the bed, staring at the ceiling beams above, and in the silence, her story begins to unfold. Not in words you can clearly hear, but in fragments like dreams, or echoes from long ago. The centuries peel away. The castle is younger now, its stones fresh, its torches burning bright. Lords and ladies fill its halls, their voices ringing with laughter, their footsteps quick upon the stair. And there she is, the lady in gray, not a ghost, but alive. Her gown rich, her eyes bright, her face lit with hope. She walks the halls not as a shadow, but as a wife, a mother, a woman of flesh and blood. But then the light in her story begins to dim. Her husband, a man of power, of influence, was not faithful. His heart strayed, his word broken. And when she discovered the betrayal, her sorrow became unbearable. The whispers sharpen now. Her love, her grief, her betrayal, all bound her soul to these walls. And so she wanders, always alone, always silent. Her gray gown trailing behind her side through corridors that never end. Voice softer, pulling listener in. You sit in the silence, your breath shallow, your heart heavy with the weight of her sorrow. And then a sound, the soft rustle of fabric, the faint step of bare feet on stone. She is here again. The gray lady drifts into view, her hollow eyes fixed upon you. But now you see her not with fear, but with sorrow. Her pain is written in every movement, in every sigh. Her lips part, and this time her voice is clearer. He left me. He left me to the silence. The words hang in the air, as if carved into the stone itself. She reaches for you again, but you do not flinch this time. The cold pierces deep, but along with it comes her sorrow. Not yours, but hers, shared, passed into you. And as her fingers fade once more, you hear her final whisper. Remember me. Pause, let the weight settle. The room falls still. The shadows ease. But you know her story is not finished. She will walk again, and she will find you. Whether in dream or in waking, the night wears on. The castle is silent once more. The fire is gone, the air heavy with cold. Yet the memory of her touch, her words, her sorrow still clings to you, like a shadow that will not lift. You rise, moving to the tall window. The countryside lies quiet beyond, the hills silver in moonlight. But reflected in the glass, you see what the world outside cannot. She is there, the gray lady, her figure pale, her eyes hollow, her gown drifting as though caught in water. She stands just behind you, her face so close, you can almost feel her breath on your neck. You turn, but the room is empty. The silence is too deep now, the kind of silence that listens. And in it, her voice returns. Do not forget me. The words slide through the room, a whisper that chills your bones. The lock on the door clicks again. The handle shifts. But the door does not open. You're trapped, held fast by her sorrow. The air grows heavier. The shadows stretch across the floor, curling like fingers around your feet. For a moment, you feel them pull, tugging softly, as if the castle itself wishes to keep you. Then silence. The weight lifts. The shadows retreat. The door creaks open on its own, the corridor beyond dim and empty. You step into the hall, your footsteps echoing. But as you leave, you know you are not truly leaving. Her voice follows you, low, distant, woven into the stone. I walk these halls forever, and so may you. Long pause, let the words linger, then soften to close. And so, dear dreamer, if ever you find yourself at Borthwick Castle, among its towers and tapestries, listen closely to the silence. For in the stillness of night, the Grey Lady wanders, her sorrow never fading, her presence never gone. And should you hear her footsteps in the corridor, slow and measured, do not follow them. For once she finds you, she may never let you go. Tonight, our path leads us to a place of history and shadows, Tulloch Castle. The road winds upward through the dark hills, the moonlight pale upon the stone walls rising above you. The castle looms, its turrets and towers standing silent against the night sky. Its windows glow faintly, like watchful eyes keeping secrets long held. You cross the great threshold, and the heavy doors close behind you with a low, echoing groan. The air inside is cool, tinged with the faint scent of smoke and polished wood. Paintings hang along the walls, their painted faces watching, their eyes following as you step deeper into the hall. This place has seen centuries of feasts and battles, of births and farewells. But it is not those memories that linger most. For here, in the dark corridors of Tulloch Castle, many speak of a sound, a melody without a player. The soft strains of bagpipes, drifting through the night, played by hands that are no longer living. The phantom piper. Some say his tune is sorrowful, a lament for a love lost long ago. Others say it is a warning, a call from the other side. But all agree on one thing. Once you hear the pipes, you will never forget them. You are shown to your room. The bed is large, heavy with blankets, the stone walls thick with silence. A single candle burns by the bedside, its flame bending gently. The night deepens. The castle grows quiet. And as you lie down, your eyes drifting closed, you wonder, will the piper come tonight? The candle beside your bed flickers. Its flame bends sideways, as though caught in a draft. But the windows are shut. The heavy curtains hang still. The air is sealed. You shift beneath the blankets, your body heavy with drowsiness, when it comes. Soft at first. So faint you wonder if you imagined it. A single note. Low, mournful. The sound of a bagpipe string, drifting through the silence. Your eyes open. The castle is still. The hallway is quiet. Yet the sound lingers, thin, distant, Like music carried on a wind that does not blow, another note follows. Then another. Slow, deliberate. A melody begins to form. Not a lively march, not a joyful dance, but a lament. The song of sorrow. It echoes faintly along the stone corridors, rolling through the stairwells, sliding under the door of your chamber. The sound is inside, and yet outside. Everywhere and nowhere. You rise from the bed, your bare feet cold against the stone floor. The music calls you forward. The door creaks as you push it open, and the corridor stretches long before you. The torches flicker. The shadows lean toward the sound. The pipes continue the melody, rising, then falling, as though the castle itself is sighing. You follow, each step slow, your breath shallow. The music grows clearer, closer. It drifts down the stairwell, curling like smoke through the air. But when you reach the landing, the hall is empty. Only shadows, only silence. And then the sound begins again, directly behind you. You turn sharply. The car door is bare. No figure stands there. No hands press the pipes. Yet the music plays, rising into a mournful cry. The kind of sound that pierces bone, that seeps into the soul. Your skin prickles. Your breath clouds in the air, as though the cold itself has followed the sound. The notes twist, slow, endless, and in them you hear something hidden. A voice, a weeping, as though the melody itself is alive and mourning. The longer you listen, the heavier it becomes. Not simply music, but grief-given sound. A sorrow too great for words, bound forever to the pipes, echoing through the halls of Tulloch Castle. You place your hands over your ears, but still the melody seeps through. It is not heard only with the ears, it is felt. In the chest, in the bones, in the very air itself. And then, as suddenly as it began, the music stops. The silence that follows is heavier than the sound. The shadows lean deeper. The air holds its breath. And you know, without a doubt, that you are not alone in these halls. The silence is thick. So complete, so sudden, that you strain to hear anything at all. And then the music begins again. Not faint this time. Not distant. But close. Very close. The notes rise, slow and sorrowful, curling through the corridor. The air itself seems to tremble with the sound, every stone carrying the weight of the melody. You turn the corner. The hall stretches ahead, lined with portraits. Their painted eyes gleam in the torchlight, their faces pale and watchful. And there at the far end, you see him, a shadow, a figure faint and flickering, as though formed of smoke. Tall, broad-shouldered, his outline blurred by the gloom. In his hands, you see the shape of the pipes. They gleam faintly in the torchlight, but no air stirs as he plays. The bag does not rise. The fingers do not move. And yet the music flows. The melody swells, so mournful, so heavy, that your chest tightens, your eyes sting. The piper does not look at you. His head is bowed, his shadowed face lost beneath the dim glow. He plays not for you, but for something lost long ago. You step closer. The air grows colder, the torches bending away from him, as though even flame dares not linger near. Your breath curls before you, mist in the darkness. Another step, another note, and then he vanishes. Gone, as though he was never there. The corridor is empty. The music, silent. You stand alone in the silence, the portraits staring down, their eyes gleaming in the low light. And then from behind you, the pipes begin again. Soft, low, right at your back. You spin. No one. Only shadows. The sound grows louder, pressing against your ears, swelling your chest. You close your eyes, but the music is inside you now, in a tune that will not leave. And through it, just for a moment, you hear a voice. A whisper carried on the melody. Find me. The word vanishes with the final note, leaving only silence, and the chill of unseen eyes upon you. The silence holds only a breath, and then the music begins again. A slow, steady note, soft at first, but growing stronger with every moment. It coils around you, curling through the air like smoke, wrapping itself around your thoughts, your very heartbeat. You turn toward the sound. It drifts down the staircase, low and mournful, a tune that does not invite but commands. Your feet move slowly, cautiously, but you cannot resist. The melody pulls at you, a thread winding tighter with every step you take, down the stairs, into the deeper halls. The torches sputter as you pass, their flames bowing low as though fleeing the sound. The air grows heavier, damp with age, cold as the earth beneath the castle itself. The pipes swell, echoing through the stone corridors, sometimes distant, sometimes near as though the piper walks just ahead of you, always beyond reach. You call out, but your voice is swallowed by the stone. Only the pipes answer, their song bending, changing. The tune no longer mournful but urgent, driving, leading. You follow. Past closed doors that rattle in their frames, past windows fogging with frost, though the night outside is calm, past stairwells where shadows linger, long and twisted, stretching across the floor as if reaching for you. The melody dips low, then rises high, pulling you deeper, always deeper. And then the hall ends. A heavy oak door waits before you, its surface scarred by centuries, its iron lock glinting faintly in the light. The pipes rise to a piercing cry. The air shudders with the sound. The lock creaks, turning slowly on its own. The door groans open, revealing a stairway descending into darkness. The music pours down, drifting like water into the depths. The piper calls you there, downward, into the unseen. Your breath quickens, your heart stumbles, but still your feet step forward, for the melody leaves no choice. You place one hand against the cold stone wall, the other reaching out into the dark. The stairs moan beneath your weight, and with every step you take, the pipes play louder, closer, until it feels as though the sound is inside you, echoing in your bones. The descent seems endless. Stone upon stone, shadow upon shadow, until at last you reach the bottom. The music stops. The silence is crushing, the darkness complete, and you realize you have gone too deep. The piper has led you here, but he has not yet revealed why. The silence wraps around you, thick, endless, the kind of silence that waits. And then the pipes begin again. Not sharp this time, not urgent, but soft, slow, a lament rising from the darkness. The sound does not come from above, or behind, or ahead. It comes from everywhere at once. It fills the chamber, the stone, the very air you breathe. And within it, images stir. The centuries roll back. You see Tulloch Castle as it once was, alive with music and feasts, its halls lit with firelight, its guests laughing, dancing, and among them, the piper, young, strong, his music filling the air, his song the heart of the gathering. The people cheer. The bagpipes wail and rise, their tune strong and steady. But behind his eyes, there is something hidden, a longing, a love, unspoken, forbidden. You see her now, a lady of the castle, her dress pale, her smile soft. She lingers in the doorway, her gaze drawn always to him. But the piper is a servant, a man of music, not of noble blood, and their love, if spoken, would be a betrayal to those who ruled these halls. So they met in secret. Whispers in the dark, stolen glances across the great hall, letters hidden beneath the stone, until the secret was discovered. The piper was cast down into the castle's depths, imprisoned, condemned, never to see her face again. And therein the silence of the dungeon she played. Not for joy, not for celebration, but for sorrow, for loss, for love stolen from him by stone and blood. The melody swells now, louder, filling the chamber around you. It is the same tune. The one you heard in the corridor. The one that drew you down here. The piper's lament. It echoes not only through Tulloch Castle, but through time itself. A song so heavy with grief that it bound his soul to the pipes and the pipes to the stone. You hear his voice now, woven within the music. She waits above, but I remain below. The notes tremble, shiver, break apart. The music falters, as though his sorrow is too heavy even for sound. Then silence. The image fades. The centuries return. You are once again in the cold, dark chamber, standing where his sorrow was born. But the weight of his story lingers. The grief presses on you, deep and endless. You understand now. The piper plays not to frighten, but to remember, to keep his love alive in the halls where he once walked, to call out for what he lost, forever. And as the silence deepens, you realize his song is not finished. It never will be. The silence is absolute. You wait, your breath slow, your chest heavy with the sorrow you've heard. And then a single note, low, drawn out. The sound of the pipes, rising again in the dark. It winds around you, filling the chamber, echoing through the stone. But this time, it is not distant. It is close. The air chills. The shadows shift. And from the far side of the room, he emerges. The piper. His figure pale, blurred as though seen through water. The pipes held in his arms, though no breath stirs their bag. The music plays on, deep and mournful, as his hollow eyes lift to meet yours. For the first time, he sees you. The tune slows, softens, and within it, you hear his voice, woven through the melody like a whisper. Do not forget me. The words press against your chest, settling deep, impossible to ignore. The torches along the walls sputter and die. The chamber is swallowed in darkness. Only the pipes remain, their sorrowful cry swelling until it fills the air, until it fills you. You stagger back, but the sound follows. It coils around you, threads itself into your breath, into your very heartbeat. Carry it, the piper whispers. Carry my song. And then he is gone. The silence returns. The chamber stands empty. Yet the melody lingers still, not outside, not in the air, but inside you. It hums faintly in your chest, soft as a breath, a tune that will not leave. You climb the stairway slowly, each step echoing in the hollow silence. The castle above is quiet, the corridor still. But as you walk, you realize you are not alone. For the piper's lament follows you, soft, endless, a shadow stitched into your soul. And so, if ever you find yourself in Tulloch Castle, listening to the silence of its stone halls, take care. For if you hear the faint sound of bagpipes in the night low mournful, calling from nowhere, it may not be the wind. It may be him, the piper. Forever playing, forever waiting, his music carried now in you. The highlands stretch wide and silent. Rolling hills fade into mist, the air cool and damp, the night sky vast above, and there, along a lonely road, a building waits. Stone walls weathered by centuries, a roof bowed with age, its windows glowing faintly in the dark. The Drover's Inn. It has stood since the 1700s, a place of rest for weary travelers, shepherds, soldiers, wanderers, any soul who needed warmth, a meal, a bed for the night. You push open the heavy wooden door. It groans as though it remembers every hand that has touched it before. Inside, the fire crackles low in the hearth. The walls are crowded with mounted antlers, old photographs, and shadows that seem to cling to every beam. The smell of smoke and damp wool lingers in the air, the kind of scent that settles deep into the wood and never fades. You take a seat by the fire. The warmth is welcome, but the inn feels heavy. Somehow its silence layered, as though carrying not just your thoughts, but the voices of countless others who once sat where you sit now. The innkeeper offers a tired smile, yet his eyes linger on you a moment too long, as though he wonders whether you are truly a guest of tonight or a guest of another time. You carry your bag upstairs. The hallway is narrow, lined with uneven doors, their numbers faded. The floor creaks beneath every step. In your room, the bed waits, its frame old, its quilt heavy. The window rattles softly in the wind. Though the air outside is still, you lie down. The firelight flickers against the walls, and the silence presses in close. And in that silence, you cannot help but wonder how many weary travelers came here, seeking only warmth and rest, but never truly left. The fire fades in the hearth. The room grows colder. The old wooden beams groan above you, as though the inn itself is shifting in its sleep. You close your eyes, but the silence is uneasy. Not empty silence, but listening silence. Alive. Then a sound. Soft footsteps in the hall. Slow, measured. Too heavy to be imagination. Too real to be dismissed. They pass your door. The boards creak beneath their weight. A pause. Then the sound fades, as though the traveler has moved on. You wait, holding your breath. The inn is quiet again. And then the footsteps return. But this time, they stop outside your door. The air thickens. The handle rattles once, slowly. Then stillness. You rise from the bed, every movement heavy, every breath loud in the silence. The floorboards moan beneath your steps as you approach the door. But when you open it, the hallway's empty. Only shadows wait there, stretched long across the walls. The air is colder, your breath misting faintly in the dark. And then you see at the shape at the far end of the hall, a figure, faint and pale, standing as though waiting. A man in travel-worn clothes. His shoulders slumped, his eyes hollow. He does not move, does not breathe, but he is there. The shadows waver, the figure flickers, and then he is gone. The silence returns. But now you know, you are not the only guest tonight. You retreat into your room, closing the door, pressing the latch tight. But the sense of others lingers. Whispers drift faintly through the walls, broken voices, snatches of words too faint to understand. You press your ear to the wood and for a moment you hear it clearly. A voice, low, tired, aching with sorrow. We never left. Your heart stumbles. You step back from the wall. The shadows bend. The fire dies. And in the dimness, you see them. Figures gathered in the corners of the room. Travelers, their clothes tattered, their eyes sunken, their faces pale as mist. They do not move. They only watch. Silent, endless, as though they are still waiting for rest, waiting for a bed that never truly gave them sleep. The air grows colder still. Your breath clouds white. And though the fire is gone, the smell of smoke lingers thick, choking, as if the walls remember the tragedies that burned through this inn long ago. The figures lean closer. The whispers grow louder. And you know you are surrounded by those weary travelers, guests who never left the Drovers Inn. The room feels crowded, not with furniture, nor belongings, but with presence. The faint outlines of travelers linger at the edges of the dark. They do not move. They do not speak. They only watch, their silence thick with sorrow. And slowly, the air shifts. The inn itself begins to speak, not in words, but in memories. The fire in the hearth sputters back to life, not with warmth, but with visions. Flames rise, and within them, you see the first tragedy. A winter storm centuries ago. Snow fell heavy across the highlands, roads buried and travelers stranded. A small group made their way to the inn, seeking shelter, their bodies weary, their faces frozen. The inn opened its doors, but the storm did not relent. The firewood ran out, the food dwindled, and in the bitter silence of that endless night, some never woke again. Their last breath left here, woven into the stone, their rest unfinished. The flames twist again. Another vision. This time, a carriage overturned on the icy road outside. A family carried inside, their cries echoing through the night. But the injuries were too grave, and though the innkeeper prayed, the walls only absorbed their sorrow. Their shadows too remained. The fire flares, crackling louder, revealing yet another story. Soldiers on the march, their uniforms torn, their faces hollow with hunger. The inn gave them refuge, a place to lay their weary heads. But not all survived the night. The Drovers Inn became their grave, and their spirits, like so many before, found no release. The fire dims, the visions fade, but the sorrow lingers. You feel it pressing against you, layer upon layer, centuries of grief soaked into the wood and stone. Every traveler who came seeking warmth, safety, rest, and never found it. That is the weight you feel now. That is the shadow standing over your bed. The whispers stir again. Low, endless. A chorus of voices carried on the inn's breath. We never left. We never left. And in that moment, you understand. The Drover's Inn is not haunted by one ghost, nor two, but by countless souls, each bound by tragedy, each chained to the night that could not escape. They are all still here, waiting, watching, filling every corner of the inn with sorrow that will never fade. The whispers grow louder, 100 voices, 100 sorrows, blending into one. We never left. We never left. The air grows heavy, thick in your lungs, as though you are breathing centuries of sorrow. You sit frozen on the bed, eyes fixed on the corners of the room. The shadows shift there. Not still anymore. Moving, slow, deliberate, stepping forward. Figures peel from the dark one by one. A traveler with a torn coat, his face pale as ash. A woman, clutching a child that does not move. A soldier, his chest torn open, his eyes glassy, yet locked on you. They gather at the edges of the bed, not speaking, not blinking, only watching. The floor creaks beneath unseen weight. The window rattles. The door handle trembles, as though pressed by countless unseen hands. Your breath quickens. The silence presses tighter. Then a voice, sharp among the whispers. A man's voice. Low, hollow, breaking with rage. Why do you rest? When we never did? The shadows lean closer. Their faces blur, shifting between sorrow and fury. Their whispers break into cries. A woman's scream, a child's sob, a man's desperate plea. The sound swells until it drowns the room. The firelight flickers and dies. Darkness swallows everything, and in that pitch black, they move. Cold fingers brush against your arm, your shoulder, your face. Touch that feels not alive, but endless. Empty. The weight of their presence crushes the air. The bed trembles beneath you. The very walls of the inn seem to bend, straining under centuries of sorrow. Then a sudden silence. The shadows halt. All of them lean closer now. Hundreds of eyes, hollow and lifeless, fixed on you. And together, their voices rise, a chorus that shakes the bones of the inn. Stay with us. Stay. Forever. The air turns to ice. Your body will not move. The room is no longer yours. It belongs to them. And in that suffocating silence, you understand the true tragedy of the Drover's Inn. Every traveler who stayed remains. The shadows do not retreat. They linger, their hollow faces inches from yours, their silence pressed heavy against your chest. The bed feels colder, the air heavier. You try to move, but your limbs are slow, heavy as stone. It is as though the inn itself is holding you down. The travelers lean closer. Their whispers seep into your ears, threads of sorrow winding deep into your thoughts. You are tired. You are weary. Rest with us. The words sink like chains. You feel your eyes growing heavy, the weight of centuries pulling them shut. The fire in the hearth sputters back to life, but it is not warm. Its flames burn blue, casting long, unnatural shadows that twist across the walls. Within the fire, you see faces, the very ones gathered around you now. Not just shadows, but memories. The woman with the silent child. The soldier with hollow eyes. The traveler who never made it through the storm. Each flame flickers with their last breath, their final moment, burning over and over, trapped in the stone. The air tightens. Your breath comes shallow. And in that moment, you understand. The Drover's Inn does not let go. Every soul who crossed its threshold in sorrow has been swallowed whole, and now it reaches for you. A cold hand brushes your wrist. Another grazes your neck. The weight of countless unseen fingers pins you where you lie. The voices grow louder and overlapping, rising into a chorus of grief and fury. Stay. Stay. Stay with us. Your heartbeat thunders, yet even that sound feels weaker now, as if the inn is drinking it in, making it part of its endless silence. The shadows crowd closer, their faces twisting, not alive, not dead, something in between. And then a figure steps forward, different from the rest, taller, darker, its presence heavier, as though it is not a traveler, but the inn itself made flesh, its eyes hollow, yet burning with cold fire, its voice deeper than all the others. You have come far. You are tired. Now you are ours. The words press against you, thick as chains. The walls creak, the windows rattle, and the very stones of the Drover's Inn seem to lean in closer, as though the building itself is alive, breathing, tightening its hold. You feel it, a slow unraveling, your strength draining, your breath faltering, as though your soul is loosening, ready to be taken. And in that suffocating silence, a terrible thought takes root. Perhaps no one ever truly leaves the Drover's Inn. Not once they cross its threshold. Not once they hear its whispers. Perhaps soon, you will be one of them. The inn is alive around you. The walls groan. The floor trembles. The shadows press closer, their hollow faces almost touching yours. The cold in the room is unbearable. Your breath escapes in ragged clouds, swallowed instantly by the air. The voices rise again, a chorus of grief, a chorus of command. Stay with us. Stay forever. The bed shudders beneath you. The door rattles violently. The window slams shut, though no hand touched it. There is no escape. The Drover's Inn will not allow it. The tallest shadow steps forward again. The dark figure that feels more stone than flesh, more inn than man. It raises one long, pale hand and points to the empty space beside the bed. You look and see yourself. A shape pale and hollow, slumped in weariness. Your eyes sunken, your breath gone. Your spirit already claimed. The voices swell to a scream. The woman weeps. The soldier groans. The child wails. The inn howls with the grief of centuries. And in that storm of sound, you feel it, yourself slipping, your strength leaving, your soul unraveling, pulling away from your body. The cold hand sees you. They drag you from the bed into the shadows, into the endless dark that has swallowed so many before. You try to fight, but the sorrow is too heavy. The inn is too strong. And in that final moment, you hear the truth, the words that every lost traveler has whispered, the words that bind them here forever. We never left. The fire dies. The light is gone, and all that remains is silence. A silence filled not with emptiness, but with you. Because now, you are part of the Drover's Inn. Another shadow in the corner, another voice in the walls, another traveler who never truly left. And so, if you ever pass along that lonely Highland road, and and see the faint glow of the Drover's Inn in the distance, remember this: its doors may open, its fire may burn, but once you enter, you may never walk away. Not really. Not ever. On the far edge of the Scottish coast, where the sea presses against the land in endless waves, there stands a modest building, the Mackays Hotel. Not grand, not ancient, but older than it seems. Its walls are steeped in silence, its windows glowing faintly against the wind. The evening is quiet when the guest arrives. A man with a small case, his shoulders hunched, his eyes shadowed by the weight of long travel. The receptionist greets him kindly, yet her smile falters for just a moment, as his name is written down in the old leather ledger. The pen scratches across the page. A number, a room. The brass key, worn smooth by years of hands, is placed in his palm. He climbs the stairs alone. The hallways are narrow, lined with photographs of Wick's Harbor, its fishing boats, its endless gray sea. His room is simple. A bed, a kettle, a single chair by the window. Quiet. Too quiet. He sets his bag down. He closes the door. And from that moment on, no one ever sees him again. The next morning, the key is missing. The bed is untouched. The kettle cold. The window locked. It is as though the guest never existed at all. And yet this name remains, written carefully in the ledger of the Mackays Hotel, a booking that ended in mystery. The ledger does not lie. His name is there, written clearly. Neat handwriting, a room number, a time. But the room tells another story. The bedspread lies flat, smooth and untouched. The kettle has never been boiled. The cup on the desk waits, empty and clean. And yet, the air feels different here, as though someone had been inside, as though someone still is. The housekeeper swears she heard him. Soft footsteps pacing above, long after midnight. A chair scraping across the floor. The sound of a suitcase opening and closing, as though he were unpacking. But when she checked, the room was empty. Another guest claims they saw him, too. A shadow at the end of the corridor, pausing by the stairwell, head bowed, as though he were waiting. But when they called out, the man turned the corner and was gone. The staff search every corner, the cellar, the attic, every locked door, every forgotten cupboard. Nothing. But still, the sounds continue. At night, the creak of footsteps crosses the hall. The floorboards bend beneath a weight that no one can see. The door to his room rattles, as though someone is trying to leave, or trying to get in. The receptionist swears she has heard the bell ring, that faint chime of the front desk, though no one is standing there. The pen, she says, sometimes moves across the ledger at night, dragging faint ink lines, as if unseen hands are still writing. The staff begin to whisper. A joke at first, then a warning. He checked in, but he never checked out. The guests, too, begin to notice. A sudden chill in the hallway. A shadow that lingers at the corner of the eye. A whisper drifting faintly, as though a man were muttering to himself in the room next door. But when they look, there is no one there. The inn grows restless. The air grows heavier, and the truth begins to stir. The man is gone. The guest has vanished. But something of him remains strapped in the narrow halls, woven into the silence of the Mackays Hotel. And with every passing night, the feeling grows stronger. He is still here, watching, waiting. The staff begin to dig, not with shovels, but with questions. With quiet whispers passed in the dim light of the lobby. With old newspapers pulled from drawers. With memories stirred from townsfolk who remember too much. And slowly the man takes shape. He was not just a weary traveler, not just another name in the ledger. He had been running. From what, no one can say. Some whisper of debts, some of betrayal. Others say his face had been seen before, on a wanted notice, pinned in a shop window, long since torn away by the wind. But one thing is certain. When he came to the Mackays Hotel that night, he came to hide. The receptionist recalls his hands, trembling, yet clutching the pen with desperate strength as he signed his name into the book. The letters sharp, hurried, and as though the act of writing them might vanish him from the world outside. He asked no questions, requested no food, carried only the small leather case, worn, scratched, its clasp broken, as though it had been opened and closed too many times. Inside, they say, there was only one thing. A bundle of papers, wrapped in twine, stained at the edges with something dark. He never let it out of his sight. Not in the lobby, not on the stairs, not even in the room where he vanished. And so, when he disappeared, the case disappeared too. The guests whisper it still lingers somewhere in the inn. That sometimes, late at night, you can hear the faint snap of its broken clasp echoing down the corridor. But no one has ever found it. No clothes were left behind. No scent of tobacco or food. No sign of a struggle. Nothing to explain where he went. Only the silence. Only the whispers. Only the feeling that he is still here. The townsfolk tell the story differently. They say the inn itself took him. That the walls, thirsty for secrets, swallowed both man and case whole. That the Mackays Hotel does not forget, it collects. And every so often, when the night is quiet, a guest in room 6 swears they hear it. The slow creak of a case opening, the rustle of papers inside, and a low, steady whisper, a man speaking words too faint to catch. His voice pressed against the silence of the dark. The guest is gone. The case is gone. But his secrets remain. And they are not finished. The room is quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that grows heavy with waiting. Well, you lie on the bed, the quilt scratchy beneath your hands. The air smells faintly of dust and salt, as though the sea itself presses against the walls. And then a sound. A slow, dragging breath. Not yours. Not from outside. From the corner of the room. You sit up. The shadows stretch long across the floor, but they do not move. The breath continues. Shallow, uneven. As though someone is sitting just beyond your sight, struggling to breathe. You whisper, "Hello?" Silence. Then a soft click. The sound of a clasp snapping shut. The case. The very case he carried. The one that vanished with him. The noise echoes faintly through the room, as though the leather is there, just out of reach. You rise slowly, step by step, your feet cold against the boards. The air grows colder with each step, your breath a pale mist in the dark. And then you see it. The chair by the window. The same chair that had been empty. Now it is not. A figure sits there, head bowed, hands resting on his knees. His outline faint, but blurred, as though seen through water. You cannot see his face, but you feel his eyes, watching. The air tightens, the shadows lean, and in the stillness, a whisper drifts across the room. My name is still here. The ledger. The name written in ink. Proof of a man who came, but never left. The whisper grows louder, closer, until it feels pressed against your ear. You cannot leave if your name remains. The floorboards groan. The figure shifts. The chair creaks under weight that should not exist. And then he stands. Not quickly, not violently, but slowly, deliberately, as though every movement carries centuries of weight. The air around you drops to ice. The walls themselves seem to bend inward. You step back, but the door slams shut behind you. The window rattles. The very room locks itself tight. And the man-thief vanished guest takes a step forward. Not rushing, not stumbling, but steady, certain, as though he has been waiting for this moment. The shadows twist around him. The sound of the case snapping shut echoes once more, and with it a promise. I am still here, and now, so are you. The light flickers. The room plunges into darkness, and in that darkness, his breath is all around you. Cold, endless, inescapable. The room is sealed. The walls press close. The fire has gone out, and the darkness feels alive. You try to move. The quilt catches at your legs. The air is thick, heavy, like walking through water. And then his breath, right beside you. Not across the room, not in the corner, but close, too close. You cannot see his face, but you feel it, the cold press of eyes, the weight of a gaze that refuses to let go. The whisper returns. You signed, you wrote your name, and now you are mine. You think back. The receptionist, the ledger, your hand tired from travel, writing your name on that yellowed page, the book that holds every guest, every soul, and now your name sits among them. Ink that cannot be erased, a bond you never knew you made. The figure moves again, slow, deliberate steps. The boards creak beneath a weight that should not exist. You try to step back, but the door will not open. The handle burns with cold, freezing against your skin. The figure stops just before you. So close you can feel the air shift with his presence. His hand rises. Not solid. Not flesh. But pale, translucent. And yet you feel it. Fingers pressing against your chest. Not pushing. Pulling. Your breath catches. The air drains from your lungs. And in that moment, you see, the room is not empty. All around you, in the walls, the corners, the shadows of the faces watch. Dozens of them. Eyes sunken, mouths silent, bodies blurred like smoke. Guests, travelers, and every soul who ever vanished here. They do not move. They only watch. And in their silence, you understand. The Mackays Hotel does not lose its guests. It keeps them. The man's whisper deepens, a growl wrapped in sorrow. The book binds us. The ink holds us. And now, you are written. The walls pulse with cold. The window shakes violently, and frost crawling across the glass from the inside. The other faces draw nearer, their shadows pressing in, their breath rising in unison, a tide of cold sighs filling the room. The figure leans close. You feel the chill of his mouth against your ear. You will never leave. Not while your name is here. Not while I am here. The world begins to tilt. The floor seems to sink. Your vision blurs. The hotel itself feels like it is swallowing you whole, dragging you into its pages, its silence, its endless night. And then everything stops. The cold, the whispers, the faces, gone. The room is still. The quilt heavy on your chest. The window quiet, as though nothing happened at all. But on the desk, the ledger waits. Its cover open. Its pages fluttering, though there is no wind. And their fresh ink. Your name. Written twice. Once in your own hand, and once more, below it. In handwriting you do not recognize. The ledger lies open. The ink glistens wet. 2 signatures. 2 versions of your name. One written in your own hand. One written by someone else. By something else. You stare at the page. But the longer you look, the harder it is to tell which is yours and which is his. The fire in the hearth crackles once, then dies. The room sinks into blackness. And in the dark, you hear them again. The footsteps, the whispers, the case snapping shut. The vanished guest is not gone. He never left. He waits in the corner. You can feel him there, breathing, watching. But now there is something different. The faces in the walls stir. The other lost travelers shift, their hollow eyes turning toward you. No longer silent, no longer still. One by one, they begin to whisper your name. Soft, dragging, over and over, until the sound becomes unbearable. You rush for the door. The handle twists in your hand. This time it opens. You stumble into the corridor. The lights flicker above you. Every door is shut tight. The hall stretches longer than it should, stretching into shadow, as though the building is shifting, reshaping itself around you. Behind you, the footsteps follow, slow, measured, never rushing, but always closer. You run. Down the stairs, through the lobby. The reception desk is empty, the ledger's still open on the counter. The front door looms ahead. You reach for it. Push. The night air waits beyond. The sound of the sea. Freedom. For a moment you think you have escaped, but then you look back, and in the glass of the door you see your reflection. Not your face. Not anymore. A shadow sits in your place. Head bowed. Eyes hollow. Hands resting on a case that was never yours. And you understand. You did not leave. You never could. No guest ever does. You are still inside. Trapped in the Mackays hotel. A name in the ledger. A shadow in the halls. Another story whispered in the dark. Another face in the walls. Another soul. I will never check out. Long pause. Whisper the final line. And when the next traveler arrives, the hotel will be waiting. With your shadow standing just behind the desk,